This is the Byline with me, Pinshaila Linkol. Imagine this. You're a farmer in northern West Bengal. Your crops are ready, your fields are dry, and the river that once sustained your land is now a political battleground. The Teesta flows, but not for you. Decisions are made, deals are discussed, but the water never comes. This is the Teesta Water Dispute, a decades-long dispute between India and Bangladesh over a river that feeds millions. Farmers suffer, governments negotiate, and yet nothing changes. Who owns the Teesta? Why has a resolution been impossible? And how much longer will those who depend on this river be left waiting? Here's the report.
The Teesta River originates in Sikkim, flowing through northern West Bengal before entering Bangladesh. It is the fourth largest transboundary river between the two nations, but decades of political deadlock have left water sharing agreements unresolved. Today, the consequences are visible. Farmers in North Bengal struggle with inconsistent irrigation, declining crop yields, and rising dependence on expensive alternative water sources. And with no resolution in sight, the situation only worsens.
मेरा नाम है हर्षवर्धन सिंह और आज हम आए हैं गोरखा गांव जो कि राज्य में से एक है और ये काफ़ी पिछड़ा राज्य है। तो आज यहाँ पे हम पीयूष पांडे करके जिनसे हमने उनका कुछ टाइम लिया है एक छोटे से इंटरव्यू के लिए, जो उसमें वो बताएंगे हमें कि कैसे किसान पानी की समस्या से जूझ रहे हैं और क्या सरकार कर रही है और क्या उनका आगे का प्लान है अगर यहाँ पे पानी की समस्या चलती रही।
क्षेत्र में बहुत बुरी तरह से किया है, क्योंकि देखिए पानी हमारा ही साधन है, लेकिन पानी होगा
टेस्टा डिस्प्यूट कैसे आपको इफेक्ट किया?
इफेक्ट तो बहुत बुरी तरह से करता है। क्या बताएं, एक समय हमारे खेत में जो पानी आती थी तो उससे हम फसल हमें बहुत अच्छे से रोज़गार मिला हम लोग को फसल के चलते। अभी ना नदी नहर से पानी आ रही है, ना हमारे वर्षा से पानी मिल रहा है। बहुत गर्मी भी हो रहा है, पॉल्यूशन भी बहुत ज़्यादा हो चुकी है।
कभी आता है कभी नहीं आता है।
इसी वजह से कभी पानी आता है कभी नहीं आता है, उसी के भरोसे बैठे रहते हैं। क्या करें, एक समय ऐसा भी आएगा हम लोग कहीं बाहर कमाने चल जाएंगे। किसानी सब खेती वेती करना क्या है, हम लोग को तो बस में उतना हो पाएगा नहीं, क्योंकि घर से पूंजी लगा के इतना तो फ़ायदा नहीं हो पाएगा कि हम घर से जो लगाएंगे पैसा वही लाने तो वापस आएगा। आदमी जब किसानी जब पकड़ा है तो किसान जब
To understand the larger implications of this crisis, we're joined by Zephaniah Binongri, a scholar in international relations. Thank you, Zephaniah, for joining us.
Thank you for having me here today.
Okay, so Zephaniah, the Teesta River is a vital source of irrigation, but farmers now are struggling. So, what's causing this water crisis?
See, when you look at the crisis regarding the Teesta River as a whole, now the main concern that comes with the river is that it flows or it fluctuates seasonally. So during the winter months or the dry months, the flow of the river is drastically reduced, affecting both sides of the country. Now, without an official water treaty in place, India and Bangladesh are at the forefront in which they are struggling to kind of manage the resources effectively. This, of course, is felt at most, or on the forefront, is felt by the farmers, agriculture, definitely in terms of farming and irrigation. So this has created a great distress when it comes to the farmers, especially in both nations. And another factor that has been at the forefront affecting this is definitely the climate change. As you know, climate change has worsened the situation today, whether it becomes the environment, whether industrially, whether on air or road. And agriculture as a whole has been one that has been on the forefront. If you look at, especially when it comes to the water crisis, it is the farmers who will be the first to be affected. And from the farmers, that goes to the food supply, and from the food supply, it's going to go to the crop. So I believe, yeah, these are one of the few factors that, especially with the Teesta River being such a main source of, I would say, of sustainability for many towns and villages, is going to truly be affected by this.
The 2011 deal between India and Bangladesh was never implemented. What's stopping the agreement from What's stopping the agreement now?
See, if you look at the 2011 deal, that is the Teesta Water Sharing Agreement, so there was a lot of political and regional concerns when it came to it. Now, according to the draft of the deal, it basically said that I think 37% or 37.5%, if I'm to be precise, was to go to Bangladesh, and 42.5% again was supposed to go to India during the dry season. Now, however, this deal was never finalized because it was faced by opposition from West Bengal. Now, there was a lot of opposition from West Bengal because there were fears of the potential impact that it would have on agriculture. So yeah, so the entire problem was because that they had different sets of priorities. Of course, the Indian central government wanted some sort of agreement to finalize the situation, while the government back at the state level, that is the West Bengal government, had its own set of priorities. Now, Bangladesh, in its sense, also faced increasing water demands. Thus, this kind of made the negotiation even more complex, as so to say.
So, because of this concern from West Bengal and due to the lack of water, a lot of farmers are now turning to more alternative water sources. Is this sustainable for the future of agriculture?
See, when you look at most alternative sources as of right now, not a lot of them has a very long-term kind of answers to the situation, because most alternatives right now are groundwater extraction, which on itself is very expensive, very costly, and it costs the farmers more than what they make. And another implications with groundwater is that it depletes resources faster as compared to regular. And secondly, if no agreement is reached by, I hope maybe by these recent years, we may be looking at very severe water shortages across the countries and across both countries and the region as a whole. This may not only affect the state of West Bengal or the state in Bangladesh, but also throughout all the other states and countries that depend on the Teesta River for their day-to-day livelihood, for agriculture, irrigation, and any other means impacting wildlife and impacting the environment as a whole.
So, where do we stand? For farmers, water is scarce and uncertainty is constant. For governments, negotiations drag on with no clear resolution. And for the Teesta itself, climate change and mismanagement are pushing it to the brink. The longer this dispute lingers, the deeper the crisis becomes. This isn't just about diplomacy, it's about the livelihoods, survival, and a future that hangs in the balance.
So let's ask the real question: who owns the river? The government that argue over it, the politicians who promise a solution, or the people whose lives depend on it? For the farmers of northern West Bengal, this isn't just about treaties or numbers, it's about survival. But how long must they wait before water stops being a bargaining chip and starts being a right? That's something to think about. You're watching the Byline with me, Pinshala Linghoy, and Harshvardhan Singh.